What is up, everybody? Let's make sure the camera's good. Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Black Curtain. I wanted to be more personable with you today. There's something I wanted to share specifically about. Oh, yeah. Looking at my notes. There's something I wanted to share more specifically. The thought that I had for today is sharing about grieving the past and pursuing the future. So, the thought that I wanted to share with you today was about grieving the past and pursuing the future. Grieving your past and pursuing the future. I want to be personable with you. So, I had brain surgery, which left me with. Mobility issues, I'll say, kind of nerve damage, and so I lost a lot of mobility on my left hand side. And going through this experience was traumatizing for me because I would consider myself a awesome musician. I played piano. I was in jazz band. I played for churches. I played. I was a music director. Different things that I did, especially musically. And I wrote songs. I was, for a point in time, I played for a choir. Just different things like that. And it was something that I found. I loved. It was a passion. It was something that I identified very strongly with. It was a part of me. It was part of my identity. And so after going through surgery, I came to realize that I would never be able to play the piano like I used to. I remember specifically coming out of I was going through therapy. That's what it was. I remember specifically going through therapy, and after we finished our session in therapy, I was still in the hospital, of course. So I was going back to my hospital room, so that can get ready for the evening and dinner and all that. But along the way, there was a music room that I went into with the piano, and I went into the room, not assuming anything. I hadn't seen a piano up until that point. I had been in the hospital, went through surgery, went through physical therapy, and I went to this music room, and I saw a piano, and it was all of a sudden everything changed. I was optimistic. I felt good that day. I was so happy that day, and I went into the music room, and it was like everything changed. It was almost like I was going down the aisle to a funeral, and I began to weep. I began to cry, and tears I shocked myself because I didn't even know I had that much emotion towards music, but I began to cry, and tears just came down my face uncontrollably, unconsolably. And I'm so glad no one walked in the room at that particular moment, because I would have been extremely embarrassed. But I rolled myself. I was in a wheelchair, and so I was rolling myself with one hand to the piano. I got to the piano, and I started to cry, because at that moment I realized that I would never be able to play the piano as I had before. And so it all hit me at one time. And going through that experience, I learned to grieve that part of me, because that was my identity. I was the musician. If someone would call, I don't know, maybe I got some musicians watching me, but it's nothing like being in a place. For me, it was church. Sometimes it'd be other functions and events and stuff. And there's a need for a musician, and you being in the room, and you being the only musician in the room, and getting on the piano and being able to play for that event is so rewarding and so much feeling. But I knew that I would never do that again. But I began to grieve that process. But at the same time, I began to see myself in a different light. I began to see myself doing different things, or doing things differently, and I begin to develop different hobbies and habits, and I begin to restructure my identity. And that's one thing about grieving your past. Grieving your past is perfectly fine. Allow yourself to feel that. No, it won't be the same. Maybe you're grieving an actual person. Maybe you're grieving a loved one. Maybe you're grieving a friend or a family member, and that person will never be with you anymore. And that person helped you, or that person identified something in you, or did something for you to help you with your identity, and you've lost that individual. It's okay to recognize that person and grieve that person, but know that there's a future that is linked to that person. It's a growth process. It's very dangerous to only grieve your past and now allow it to be a seed of growth for your future. You never know from your experiences that you've already had what you're going to go into in the future. So allow yourself to grieve the past, but always pursuing the future. Allow yourself to experience all that you need to experience. If you need to cry, if you need to weep, if you need to vent, sometimes people just need to talk about it, and that is perfectly fine. And getting through that process and getting through that pain, that is perfectly fine. Allow yourself to get through it, but also know that there is a beautiful outcome to it. It may not seem like it, it may not feel like it, but there is always a future. As long as you're alive, as long as you have breath in your body, there is a future for you. Even in this moment right now, you may be thinking about the thing that you're grieving. You may be recalling to your mind the memories and the smell and the thoughts and the activity and all of those things, and they may come to your mind all at once. But know that that was a beautiful seed to plant you on your road, on your journey through life, through what you were meant to do. So that's all I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching the Black Curtain. I guess that's what we're going to go with. Remember, say it with me. Grieving the past, but pursuing the future. Grieving the past. It's going to be there. Always in our minds. Always in our hearts. But pursuing the future. Always pressing forward. You can do it. All right, that's it. I'm done.